Hello, welcome to this recorded webcast about mandated reporting, protecting vulnerable Alaskans. This session will focus on reporting regarding vulnerable adults. And this presentation is by Senior and Disability Services, Department of Health and Social Services, State of Alaska. Mandatory reporters. Mandatory reporters are people who, in the performance of their professional duties, have reasonable cause to believe that the adult suffers from abandonment, abuse, neglect, exploitation, or self-neglect. Failure to report is a misdemeanor. You can lose your professional license to work in the field if you do not report. Requirements for mandated reporters. Mandated reporters have a duty to report under the law and must make a report to central intake within 24 hours of knowledge or belief of a vulnerable adult who has or is being maltreated. Telling your supervisor or agency does not meet this requirement. Who are mandated reporters? Mandated reporters include a physician or other licensed healthcare provider, a mental health professional, including a marital or family therapist, a pharmacist, an administrator or employee of a nursing home, residential care, or healthcare facility, a guardian or conservator, a police officer, a village public safety officer, a village health aide, a social worker, a member of the clergy, a staff employee funded by the Department of Administration for the provision of services to older Alaskans, Department of Health and Social Services, or Council on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. An employee of a personal care or home health aid program, an emergency medical technician or paramedic, a caregiver of the vulnerable adult, a certified nurse aide, and an educator or administrative staff member of a public or private education institution. Who is a vulnerable adult? A vulnerable adult is a person 18 years of age or older who, because of incapacity, meaning mental illness, mental deficiency, physical illness or disability, advanced age, chronic use of drugs, chronic intoxication, fraud, confinement, or disappearance, is unable to meet their own needs or to seek help without assistance. What are the types of abuse? Abandonment, abuse, neglect, self-neglect, exploitation, and undue influence. Abandonment. This is the desertion of a vulnerable adult by a caregiver. The caregiver could be paid or unpaid. Abandonment could happen at the adult's home, in the community, at a hospital, or any other care facility. Abuse. Abuse is the intentional, knowing, or reckless, non-accidental, and non-therapeutic infliction of pain, injury, or mental or emotional distress, or fear, including coercion and intimidation, or sexual assault. There are 3 subtypes: physical, sexual, mental, or emotional. Neglect. Neglect is the intentional, knowing, or reckless failure of the caregiver to provide essential services or access to essential care or services, or to carry out a prescribed treatment plan necessary to maintain the physical and mental health of the vulnerable adult when the vulnerable adult is unable to provide or obtain the essential care or services on their own behalf. Essential care or services includes food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and supervision. Self-neglect. Self-neglect is the act or omission by a vulnerable adult which results or could result in the deprivation of essential services necessary to maintain minimal mental, emotional, or physical health and safety for him or herself. Essential care or services includes food, clothing, shelter, and seeking medical care. Exploitation. Exploitation means the unjust or improper use of another person or another person's resources for one's own profit or advantage, with or without the person's consent, and includes acts by the person who stands in a position of trust or confidence with a vulnerable adult, or who knows or should know that the vulnerable adult lacks the capacity to consent, that involves obtaining profit or advantage through undue influence, deception, fraud, intimidation, or breach of fiduciary duty. Undue influence. Undue influence is when a person who stands in a position of trust or confidence of the person's role, relationship, or authority uses this relationship to wrongfully exploit the trust, dependency, or fear of a vulnerable adult to gain control over the decision-making of the vulnerable adult, including decision-making related to finances, property, residence, and health care. Reporting to APS, Adult Protective Services. Anyone can make a report. Adult Protective Services is open during state business days and hours. If you have an emergency, you must call 911 or local emergency services. After you call for help in the event of an emergency, then you may make a report to Adult Protective Services. Do not delay in making the report. Report within 24 hours of your knowledge or belief of a vulnerable adult being maltreated. Adult Protective Services intake is now a part of Central Intake. Central Intake is a virtual unit that combines intake staff for Adult Protective Services, Senior and Disability Services Quality Assurance, and Assisted Living Home Licensing. The Alaska Centralized Report meets the requirements for all of the following: Adult Protective Services Report of Harm, Assisted Living Home Licensing Incident Report, Critical Incident Report, Quality Assurance Complaint, and Assisted Living Home Complaint. You make one report and it is screened for intake to all 3 agencies. Only one form is needed. What information should you put in your report? This is the information we need: name, address, date of birth, and all demographics of the adult. The current diagnosis. Information as to why this person is vulnerable. Your name and telephone number and times of availability if possible. And current information about the adult. What is happening now that APS, Adult Protective Services, needs to be involved with? There are many ways to make a report. You can call 907-269-3666, a local Anchorage number, to make a report. You may call toll-free within the state of Alaska, 1-800-478-9996. You may fax to 907-269-3648. You can make a report online 24 hours a day at the centralized report page, which is dhss.alaska.gov/DSDS/pages/centralized reporting. You can also report where you see the symbol about filing your report. Once you make your report, what happens next? A central intake worker reviews every report made and decides if the incident reported falls within Adult Protective Services, Quality Assurance, or Assisted Living licensing jurisdiction. Sometimes the report is under the jurisdiction of another agency, like Office of Children's Services in the event of children, long-term care ombudsman, or another partner. Sometimes there's not enough information for any unit to act on. A worker may call the reporter and ask for more information. Adult Protective Services may provide information and referrals to community members if there is no clear information that any maltreatment is occurring. Adult Protective Services may conduct an investigation to determine if any abuse, neglect, or exploitation has occurred, and if there is a risk of it happening in the future. If APS visits the adult in person, the investigator will conduct a field assessment of the adult's capacity to ensure their rights are maintained and protective services are provided when needed. Your partnership is needed. Many people we serve are isolated. Many people we serve are hopeless, lost, or in despair. Many people we serve feel like they have no way out. We can help them find their voice. We can advocate for justice. We can offer choices for change, but we can't do it without you. Call us, fill out the form, make the report. In the event that you have a situation where you feel as though you should be reporting, but you're not sure, please call us, fill out the form, and make the report. Thank you for your participation. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can contact Adult Protective Services at 907-269-3666. If you would like a copy of this presentation, you can email sdstraining@alaska.gov. Imagine a world without abuse of vulnerable adults. We do. Please join us. Thank you.